The call came at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday, jolting me awake in my penthouse apartment overlooking San Francisco Bay. Sarah's name appeared on my phone screen, and I could hear her sobbing before I even said hello. "Michael, it's over. Dad's company is closing tomorrow. We're losing everything." I sat up in bed, fully alert despite the late hour. "Sarah, slow down. What happened?" "The investors pulled out. All of them. Dad got the call this afternoon. Hamilton Industries is done. 23 years of building that company, and tomorrow they're locking the doors forever." I walked to my floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city lights while my sister's world crumbled through the phone. "What about the house? Mom and Dad's retirement?" "Gone. Everything's tied up in the company. The house was collateral for the business loans, Dad's retirement fund was invested in company stock, even Mom's car was purchased through the business account." My heart ached listening to Sarah's desperation, knowing information she didn't possess. For the past 18 months, I had been Hamilton Industries' largest anonymous investor, funneling money through Titan Capital, my investment firm, to keep Dad's company afloat. "Sarah, how much debt are we talking about?" $3.2 million. The lawyers say there's no way to save anything. Dad's going to lose the company, the house, everything he's worked for his entire life. What Sarah didn't know was that Hamilton Industries' financial crisis had started 2 years ago when their largest client canceled a multi-million-dollar contract. Dad had mortgaged everything to keep the company running, refusing to ask for family help out of pride. I had discovered the situation during a routine market analysis that flagged Hamilton Industries as a potential acquisition target. When I realized it was Dad's company facing bankruptcy, I'd immediately begun providing anonymous funding through a complex network of shell companies and investment vehicles. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. How is Dad handling this?" "He's devastated. Mom found him crying in his office tonight, the first time I've ever seen Dad cry. He keeps saying he failed the family, that he should have made different decisions." I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of a secret I'd been carrying for 18 months. Every family gathering, every phone call, every casual conversation about work, I'd watched Dad struggle while knowing I had the power to solve his problems with a single phone call. "Sarah, what if there was a way to save the company?" "Michael, there isn't. Trust me, Dad has explored every option. No bank will extend more credit, no investor wants to touch a company with this much debt, and we don't have wealthy relatives who can write a $3 million check. Actually, they did have a wealthy relative who could write a much larger check without thinking twice. But Dad had made it clear over the years that he'd rather fail independently than succeed with family money. What about selling the company instead of closing it? Who would buy a company that's $3 million in debt with no major contracts? Someone who understood the company's true value and had the resources to restructure its operations, I thought. Someone like the CEO of Titan Capital, which managed $4.8 billion in assets and specialized in exactly these kinds of turnaround situations. "Sarah, give me a day. Let me make some calls and see if I can find any options Dad might have missed." "Michael, I appreciate you wanting to help, but this isn't something that can be fixed with a few phone calls. This is serious business with serious money. If only she knew that I employed 300 people whose job was handling serious business with serious money. Just give me 24 hours, okay? Don't let Dad sign any final paperwork until tomorrow night." "Fine, but Michael, don't get our hopes up. This situation is beyond fixing." After ending the call, I sat in my home office, reviewing the confidential files I'd been maintaining on Hamilton Industries for the past 18 months. Despite the debt crisis, the company's fundamentals were solid. They had valuable patents, experienced employees, and strong relationships with mid-tier clients. With proper capital injection and restructuring, Hamilton Industries could not only survive but thrive. The challenge wasn't financial. I could solve their money problems before lunch tomorrow. The challenge was emotional. Dad had built his identity around independence and self-reliance. Accepting help, especially from his son, would feel like admitting failure. But watching the company collapse when I had the power to save it wasn't an option either. I called Jennifer Park, Titan Capital's head of acquisitions, despite the late hour. "Michael, it's almost midnight. This must be important." "Jennifer, remember the Hamilton Industries analysis we discussed last year? I want to move forward with a full acquisition." "Hamilton Industries? Michael, that company is in serious financial distress. Why would we want to acquire a business that's essentially bankrupt?" Because underneath the debt problems, it's a solid company with good fundamentals. And because it's important to me personally. How important? Important enough that I want you to structure an offer that will close within 24 hours. Michael, that's impossible. Due diligence alone takes weeks. Jennifer, I've been monitoring this company for 18 months. I have all the due diligence we need. What I need from you is an acquisition strategy that preserves the current management structure while providing immediate capital relief. What kind of capital relief? Complete debt forgiveness, working capital injection, and a modernization budget. I want this company positioned for long-term growth, not just survival. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Michael, an acquisition of this scope with this timeline is going to require your personal authorization at the highest level. You have it. Whatever it takes. And the purchase price? $15 million. $5 million to clear all debts, $5 million for working capital, and $5 million for equipment upgrades and expansion. $15 million for a company that's technically worthless? Jennifer, I need you to trust me on this one. Hamilton Industries is going to be a cornerstone acquisition for Titan Capital's manufacturing portfolio. After ending the call with Jennifer, I spent the next 3 hours developing a comprehensive rescue plan for Hamilton Industries. By 4 a.m., I had structured a deal that would not only save Dad's company but position it for substantial growth over the next 5 years. The next morning, I arrived at Titan Capital's headquarters at 6 a.m. to oversee the acquisition process. Jennifer and her team were already deep into preparing the legal documentation for what would become the fastest major acquisition in our company's history. Michael, I have to ask, what's your personal connection to Hamilton Industries? It's my father's company, Jennifer. Her expression shifted to understanding. This is about family. This is about saving something valuable that happens to belong to family. And your father doesn't know about your involvement? My father thinks his son works in finance, and has no idea that his son runs a multi-billion-dollar investment firm. Why haven't you told him? Because my father is proud, independent, and would rather fail on his own terms than succeed with family help. Which is why this acquisition needs to appear completely unrelated to me. At 10:30 a.m. my phone rang. It was Dad. Michael, I wanted to call before things get too chaotic today. Hamilton Industries is closing this afternoon. Dad, I'm so sorry. I know how much that company means to you. 23 years, son. I built that company from nothing and now I'm watching it die because I made poor financial decisions. Dad, you didn't make poor decisions. You had bad luck with timing and lost a major client during a difficult economic period. Maybe. But the result is the same. Your mother and I are going to lose our house. I'm going to have to find a job at 62 years old. And a lot of good people are going to be unemployed because of my failures. Dad, what if someone offered to buy the company? To take over the debt and keep it running? Michael, who would want to buy a company that's $3 million in the hole? Someone who sees the long-term value in what you've built. Son, I've been trying to find buyers for 6 months. No one wants a business with this much debt and no guaranteed revenue. At that moment, Jennifer appeared in my office doorway, holding a folder of documents. Dad, let me call you back in an hour, okay? Sure, son. I love you. I love you too, Dad. Jennifer sat down across from my desk with a satisfied expression. It's done. Titan Capital's offer for Hamilton Industries is complete and ready for presentation. Walk me through it. Purchase price of $15 million with immediate debt forgiveness and capital injection. We're proposing to keep all current employees, maintain current management structure, and invest in modernization over the next 2 years. And the timeline? The offer can be presented this afternoon with closing tomorrow morning if accepted. Jennifer, I need this offer to come through Meridian Holdings, our subsidiary that handles mid-market manufacturing acquisitions. To maintain distance from your personal involvement? Exactly. Hamilton Industries needs to be saved by a legitimate investment firm, not by the owner's son. At 2:47 p.m. I received a call from Sarah. Michael, something incredible just happened. A company called Meridian Holdings just made an offer to buy Dad's company. I maintained my composure despite knowing exactly what was happening. That's amazing, Sarah. What kind of offer? $15 million. They want to pay off all the debts, keep everyone employed and invest in growing the business. Dad can't believe it. How did they even know about Hamilton Industries? They said they'd been monitoring mid-size manufacturing companies for acquisition opportunities. Dad's company apparently fit their investment criteria perfectly. What does Dad think? He's suspicious. He keeps asking why anyone would pay $15 million for a company that's technically bankrupt. And what did they tell him? That Hamilton Industries has valuable patents, experienced employees and strong client relationships. They said with proper capital investment, the company could be very profitable. All of which was true, though I'd been the one who conducted that analysis. Sarah, this sounds like the miracle you needed. It does. But Michael, Dad is struggling with accepting the offer. Why? Because he feels like he's admitting failure by selling the company he built. Sarah, Dad isn't failing. He's adapting to circumstances and making smart decisions to preserve what he built. Can you talk to him? He's always valued your opinion about business matters. The irony of Dad valuing my business opinion while having no idea about my actual business success wasn't lost on me. Of course. Is he available now? 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Dad's office at Hamilton Industries, surrounded by the patents, awards and photos documenting 23 years of building a successful manufacturing company. Michael, I don't know what to do. This Meridian Holdings offer seems too good to be true. Dad, tell me about the company. What do they specialize in? Mid-market manufacturing acquisitions. They apparently own 12 other companies similar to mine, and they have a track record of turning around struggling businesses. All accurate information, since Meridian Holdings was Titan Capital's subsidiary and I had personally overseen those 12 acquisitions. Dad, what does your gut tell you about the offer? My gut says it's legitimate. Their financial documentation is solid, their references check out, and their business plan for Hamilton Industries is actually quite impressive. But I'm having trouble accepting that someone wants to pay $15 million for something I was about to lose to bankruptcy. Dad, maybe you're not seeing your company's true value because you're too close to the financial problems. What do you mean? I mean that an outside investor might see assets and opportunities that you're not noticing because you're focused on debt and cash flow. Like what? Like the patents you hold for manufacturing processes that other companies would pay licensing fees to use. Like the experienced workforce that would cost millions to train from scratch. Like the client relationships that represent future revenue streams. Dad looked around his office considering my words. You really think Hamilton Industries is worth $15 million? Dad, I think Hamilton Industries is worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it. And if Meridian Holdings is willing to pay $15 million, then that's exactly what it's worth. But what if I'm making a mistake? What if I should fight harder to keep the company independent? Dad, independence is valuable but survival is more valuable. You can't run a company that doesn't exist. He was quiet for several minutes, weighing his options. Michael, can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think I'm a failure for getting into this situation? Dad, you built a successful company that employed 50 people for over 20 years. You created something valuable enough that investors are competing to own it. That's not failure, that's success that hit a temporary obstacle. A $3 million obstacle. An obstacle that's about to disappear if you accept this offer. Dad stood up and walked to the window overlooking the factory floor where his employees were working, uncertain about their futures. Michael, if I accept this offer, Hamilton Industries will survive, but it won't be mine anymore. Dad, Hamilton Industries will be better than it was before. Sometimes the best way to preserve something you love is to entrust it to someone who has the resources to help it grow. And you really think Meridian Holdings is that someone? I think Meridian Holdings is offering you exactly what you need when you need it most. Sometimes that's the definition of the right opportunity. That evening, Dad called a meeting with his employees to announce that Hamilton Industries had received an acquisition offer that would save the company and preserve all jobs. The relief and excitement in the room was overwhelming. At 8 p.m., Dad signed the acceptance documents. Hamilton Industries officially became a Meridian Holdings subsidiary, with all debts cleared and a $5 million modernization budget approved. Sarah called me as I was driving home from the signing. Michael, I can't believe this happened. Yesterday we were losing everything and today Dad just sold his company for $15 million. How is he feeling about it? Happy, relieved, and a little overwhelmed. He keeps saying he can't believe someone saw that much value in what he built. Dad built something worth preserving, Sarah. He just needed someone with the right resources to help him preserve it. Michael, there's something else. The Meridian Holdings people said they're looking for an experienced manufacturing executive to oversee their newly acquired companies. They offered Dad a position as regional director. That's incredible. What did he say? He said yes. So not only did Dad save his company, but he's getting promoted to oversee multiple companies in the same industry. What Sarah didn't know was that I had specifically structured the acquisition to include a management position for Dad. His experience and industry knowledge were valuable assets that Meridian Holdings, and by extension, Titan Capital wanted to retain. 3 months later, I visited Dad at his new office in Meridian Holdings' regional headquarters. He was reviewing quarterly reports for 6 manufacturing companies, including the Hamilton Industries he had founded 23 years earlier. Michael, I have to tell you, this acquisition turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to my career. How so? Working for Meridian Holdings has taught me so much about modern business management. They have systems, resources, and expertise that I never could have developed on my own. And Hamilton Industries? Thriving. The modernization investments have increased our productivity by 40%. We've landed 3 new major clients, and we're actually ahead of our growth projections. I smiled, knowing that those results were exactly what Titan Capital's analysis had predicted. Dad, do you ever regret selling the company? Not for a second. I thought selling meant admitting failure, but it actually meant admitting that I'd built something valuable enough for serious investors to want. And your new role with Meridian Holdings? Best job I've ever had. I'm using my experience to help other family businesses navigate growth and modernization. It's like being a consultant, but with the resources of a major investment firm behind me. If only he knew exactly how major that investment firm was, and who was ultimately behind the resources supporting his new career. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever wonder about the coincidental timing of Meridian Holdings' offer? How they happened to approach you right when you needed them most? Dad looked thoughtful. I did wonder about that. But Jennifer Park, their head of acquisitions, explained that they'd been monitoring Hamilton Industries for months as a potential acquisition target. And that satisfied your curiosity? It did. Michael, sometimes in business timing really is everything. Meridian Holdings needed a company like mine, and I needed an investor like them. Sometimes the universe just aligns things perfectly. I nodded, thinking about how much effort had gone into making the universe appear to align perfectly. Dad, I'm proud of what you accomplished with Hamilton Industries. Building a company that was valuable enough to attract serious investment. That's something most entrepreneurs never achieve. Thank you, son. And Michael? Yes. I'm proud of you too. You've always been so supportive during difficult times, and your business advice has been invaluable. I just want to see you succeed, Dad. Well, thanks to Meridian Holdings, I'm succeeding more than I ever imagined possible. 6 months after the acquisition, Meridian Holdings promoted Dad to Vice President of Manufacturing Operations, overseeing 15 companies across the western United States. His salary tripled, and he was finally earning the kind of income his expertise deserved. During a family dinner at my parents' house, Sarah raised a toast to Dad, who turned what looked like the worst year of his life into the best career opportunity he's ever had. And to mysterious investors who show up exactly when you need them, Dad added with a laugh. I raised my glass and smiled. To family businesses that are worth preserving, and to investment firms that understand their true value. Michael, Mom said, you should consider getting into investment work. You seem to have a good understanding of how these business deals work. I'll think about it, Mom. After dinner, Dad and I sat on his back porch, looking out at the garden he'd been able to keep thanks to the Meridian Holdings acquisition. Michael, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Anything, Dad. Sometimes I wonder if there was a guardian angel involved in saving Hamilton Industries. The timing was too perfect, the offer was too generous, and the outcome was too good to be entirely coincidental. What do you think about when you wonder that? I think about how blessed I am to have family who supported me through the crisis, and how grateful I am that someone out there believed in the value of what I'd built. Dad, whoever was involved in saving Hamilton Industries probably just recognized good business fundamentals when they saw them. Maybe. But I like to think they also understood what that company meant to the people whose lives depended on it. I'm sure they did, Dad. As I drove home that evening, I reflected on the past year. Hamilton Industries was not only saved but thriving. Dad had found a career that utilized his full potential. The 50 employees who would have lost their jobs were now working for a growing, stable company. And I had learned that sometimes the best investments aren't measured in financial returns, but in the lives preserved and the dreams protected. My phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Hamilton Industries exceeded all Q3 projections. Best performing acquisition in Meridian Holdings portfolio. Your father is an exceptional executive. I typed back, I know. That's why saving his company was worth every penny. Sometimes the most important business decisions are the ones that no one knows you made. Sometimes the best acquisitions are the ones that preserve what already existed rather than creating something new. And sometimes the greatest satisfaction comes not from building your own empire, but from using that empire to save someone else's dreams. Dad never needed to know that his son had saved his company. What mattered was that Hamilton Industries survived, thrived, and continued creating value for everyone whose lives it touched. In the end, that's what family does. We protect each other's dreams, even when we have to do it anonymously.